Today, I'm finally gonna take you guys with me and show you the progress on the pole barn. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about it, so we're gonna get into it today. I'm gonna show you guys what I've been working on and what else we have to complete in this pole barn project. Show you guys around a little bit and show you where we're at. Alright guys, so today's video is brought to you by howto work boots. Probably the last boots you're ever gonna have to buy. I've been wearing them now for a while. I freaking love these things. I've been working in them hard for the last month and a half now, and I have zero complaints with these boots. I'm gonna bring you guys a little bit closer, and I'm gonna show you guys a little bit more about these boots, give you some details, and I'm gonna compare them to my old boots that I was wearing previously. So let me give you guys a little bit closer look before we get into this video, and I'll show you guys what these things are all about. Alright guys, so these boots here have been designed strictly for work, for guys like us that are out in the field, working on tractors, equipment, doing electrical work, you're up and down ladders, you're doing roofing, any of that kind of stuff. That's what these boots are made for. These boots are oil resistant, slip resistant, waterproof, and they even have like a wear bar on the bottom, which I really like. You can see this orange bar here. What it is it's made out of like a harder rubber so that you don't wear out the soles of the boots so quickly. Because if you look over at these other boots that I've been wearing, you can see how the soles get wore out real easily. They get thinned out and just worn from being scrubbed against the ground, where these got these wear bars on them, and I really like that. Also, you can see that these boots are fully stitched and glued all the way around the seam. They got a really nice tread pattern on them. I've worn them in the mud. I got my tractor buried a couple weeks ago, really buried. I'll see if I can pull up some pictures for you guys if I can. I wore these boots through all of that, and I had no problems walking through the deep mud. I had no issues with my feet getting wet, no issues with traction. These boots did an awesome job on keeping me on my feet. Now, another great feature these boots have is they have a Goodyear welt, it's called. They're made in such a way where they will not split and pull apart like your average sole would do on a cheaper boot. If I come over to here, I could actually show you guys what I'm talking about. So I have this little problem where I use my feet as a rake. If you guys are like me and you're out doing landscaping work, driveway jobs, a lot of times you use your feet as a rake. And from constantly sweeping my foot like this to the left to rake in some stone, you can see I've just peeled away completely the bottom of the sole here. They just fall apart. This is like 6 months of use, and you can see this boot is just trashed. These boots are made by Survivors, which the last thing they do is survive, trust me, because there's another pair right there. And these boots are only worn 2 months. Now these boots here, they cost $80 a piece, and I've went through about 4 pair of these boots. These are just my last 2 recent pair. Another thing I really hated about these boots was the laces. The laces, you could see they just deteriorate. 2 months of use and the laces are already all ripped up. You can see on these ones after 6 months what ends up happening to these laces, which can be replaced with some extra laces, but these boots never come with them, or at least these boots come with extra laces. And as far as the laces on these boots, I've been wearing them for about a month and a half now or so. You can see these laces are still in perfect shape. A lot of that is due to the way they build these little clips here that hold the laces. We've got softened, rounded edges, and they're really beefed up. They're nice and strong, so the ends of these aren't going to bend. I've had issues with these ones. You can see these are just your standard boot. This one's actually bent and closed in. This other one here is actually bent out. They're just a really thin clip, and because of this, they got sharp edges as well. So I think that also pertains to the shredding of the laces, and I think that's why these boots have always given me issues with the laces. Another thing I really like about these boots is they have a steel inlay for the arch support. So the arch support has like a steel structure in it, so it'll never sink down, so you're always gonna have good arch support. Or with your average boot, eventually they flatten out over a couple months of use, and you have flat feet. And these steel toes, they meet all the special criteria where you could actually rely on it and know that your toe wasn't going to get crushed if you drop a heavy object on it. So I highly recommend you guys check out these boots made by howto. If you want a 15% off discount, I'll have it in the video description. You could use promo code BIFF for a 15% off discount. Check them out, use the link in the video description. And the greatest thing about these boots is they're a lifetime warranty. All right guys, I'm gonna be wearing these boots in all of my upcoming videos, so we'll keep an eye on them and we'll see exactly how they hold up, but I have a feeling they're gonna hold up pretty darn well. Let's get back to the video. Last time you guys were in here, I don't even think this wall was done yet. I had a couple pieces done here in the middle, and I think that was about it. So the insulation I'm using is foam polyboard. It's a closed cell foam. This is 2-inch, and then I'm also using 2-inch for the ceiling. This is all poly foam. It's one of the best insulated foams for the thickness that you can get. I don't know the long term for it, but the short term is poly. So everyone just calls this poly. And then you've also got like the pink foam, which I have a little bit back here. This is like your normal regular foam board, but this stuff per thickness is not as, the R rating is not as high as the polyfoam is. This is all paper backed. It's paper and fiberglass all mixed together. Makes a really strong backer, and it also makes it airtight, so this can also be used as a vapor barrier as well once you tape the seams. As you can see, I started taping some of them. I gotta go ahead and do all of them at some point when I get done, but basically where I started on the inside here was insulating the wall. I started on this wall here, got it done all the way to this end here. What I've been using to secure it is these little washers here. These are called round tin caps. Basically, they're like sheet metal, but they're galvanized, so they'll never rust. And what I do is I pre-drill them, and I've just thrown a screw through them, through the insulation and into the girts. This is the brace, support brace right here, but there's girts that go all the way across horizontally, and I've just been screwing it to those. So as you can see here, I've got, you know, about every 2 feet or so, that's how I'm securing these boards. I was gonna glue them at first, but after I got thinking about it, I decided not to, because if I ever wanna pull these down to do something behind there or run plumbing or something electrical, I wanna be able to easily take these down to be able to work on my building. So this way I can just unscrew them, I can pull the foam down, and I can work on the building, no problem at all. And then I could just replace the foam and put the screws back in when I'm done. So I got it all the way done up to here as far as this side goes. And you can see I've even started behind my desk here, and I just gotta work my way up. So basically from here all the way to here is completely done. I did get my heater put in. I don't know if you guys seen the video where I installed the gas line for this heater. If you haven't seen it yet, I will put a video link right here. It's called installing a gas line with my tractor. And I basically dug the gas line. I'll show you real quick. So the gas line went from this pipe here coming out of the house. That is just a piece of 1/2 inch gas line. I came out of it with 3/4 and brought it all the way across. And as you can see, I stubbed it into the wall right here, and I went back to 1/2 inch. I brought it in with 3/4 because I want to make sure that I had the volume to run this 80,000 BTU heater. So once I stubbed it through, I came up alongside the wall here, made a moisture nipple for it. Got one of the flexible utility hoses going to the heater itself. I had to custom build that mount that you see it hanging on right now. I built that mount myself. Used a piece of 3x3 angle iron, 1/4 inch thick, and then I used some C-channel for the brace right here and some C-channel for the top. Basically made a big A-frame, connected the threaded rods to this plate here that I cut out of a sheet of metal that I had. And then up above it, just a 2x2 square stock that I put for a brace so that this piece of metal does not flex or bow over time. And then I have it mounted for a single 3/4 inch bolt, so that's plenty strong enough. And what's nice about mounting it on a single bolt like I did, which is this one in the middle here, I was able to rotate this wherever I wanted to before I plumbed it all in. And then I also made many holes on this main brace coming off so that I could adjust the heater forward and back, because I wasn't sure how much room I was gonna want to leave myself with all the plumbing and stuff. Coming down here from the heater, you can see here I've got a slop sink, utility sink, whatever they call them. I got it at Home Depot really cheap. I think I got it for like 90 bucks, and it came with the faucet. The faucet even has a hose on it, which is nice. So if I gotta wash stuff off, I can do that. It is all plumbed in as far as the drainage goes. I got it all plumbed in, but I do not have water coming in here yet, which I will show you guys in another video how I'm gonna get the water over here. I gotta wait till spring or summer to do that so I can dig the trench for the water line. Over here, I just got a nice little cabinet here that I keep like cleaners and stuff in. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this cabinet here or not. I'm probably gonna end up moving it. But for now, it's just holding my refrigerator. Got a little mini fridge here so I can keep some drinks and whatnot in it. And up above that, you can see I've got my 55-inch TV. I got that mounted on a swivel mount or Versa mount, whatever they call it. So I did all that stuff first. Once I got all that done, I started insulating the ceiling. The midsection almost done. I've got like 3 sheets left, and I've got this whole other side completely done. Basically, how I put them up there is I cut around whatever I had to cut around. I stuck them up there, and I used the screws with those plates that I was telling you about. And I used them to hold them up there, and then I used some furring strips, and I use the furring strips right at the joints where the 2 sheets meet together. And that way it gives it a nice clean look, takes care of the seam, and it holds them up there really tightly. At some point I'd like to put in some blow-in insulation, I think, up there, and if I do that, it's got to be able to support all that weight. So with these furring strips, they're not going to go anywhere. I got my lights already wired in and mounted. We'll talk about those later, but I will be doing a future video on these lights. I still got 2 more to put up, so we'll be doing those together on camera. Once I got all that stuff done, I ended up putting in my first garage door opener. This garage door opener is actually a residential unit, and it was only made for a 7-foot door, and I ended up buying some parts online. I bought a couple extender pieces. I bought an extra belt, and I cut the 2 in half, and I made the right length belt that I need to run it on a 10-foot door. The motor is a 3/4 horse, which I knew it would easily lift it because a 7 or 8-foot door insulated is heavier than this non-insulated 10-foot door. So I knew it would handle the weight. Got 2 of these motors on Black Friday for like $79 a piece, so I stole these things. Basically anything for a 10-foot door, you're talking at least $300 to like $500, $600 for a commercial door. So basically I got away with a $79 opener. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's a lifetime warranty, so if the thing fails, I'll take the power head off, send it back, and be good to go. Been up there now for quite a while. It's been working great. I open and close it every day. So really pleased with this door opener. I got the other door opener right underneath my desk there. I've still yet to open it because I have to buy the extra parts that I need to rig it up to this other door here. So I'll have one of these door openers for each door, and I should be set at a very low cost. So if you guys are more interested in how I made this work, I can make a more detailed, in-depth video, because I looked online and there is nothing about how to make a 7 to 8 foot door opener work on a 10-foot door. I mean, there's nothing. So as far as I'm concerned, I think I'm one of the first to ever do that. So coming over here, you can see I've got some workbenches. This is actually from my shed. I brought that in here from there. I still have to organize a lot of the stuff. This is probably gonna stay here, and I'm probably gonna put like a backboard up where I can hang a bunch of tools and stuff, like a pegboard. And then I got this table. This was not in my shed. I got this for like 20 bucks off a guy down the road. It's got a nice heavy metal top. It's a nice steel table. Probably gonna do like welding and fab work on this, or I'm just gonna use it for an extra bench. As you can see here, I've got my vise on there. I've got my grinder. I've got a drill press, which eventually I want to get a larger one. Brought my toolbox in here from the shed. I've got a couple welders. This is a 110 volt MIG welder. And then over here, I've got my main welder here, this titanium MIG 140. And then underneath it, as you guys have seen me use in my other videos, my plasma cutter. So I got all that stuff in here now. Over here, I've got my hose reel. This reel was in my shed as well. It's only like a couple years old. I got to get it mounted up. I'm going to mount it on the center post up here. That way I could run it each direction out either door. 50-foot hose, so it should do the job. This here is a parts washer. I bought it at Harbor Freight. Got a really good deal on it. It was like their showroom model. There was nothing wrong with it. I ended up getting it for about 55 bucks out the door. So I thought that was a good deal. I put it together, and I think it's gonna be nice to have, especially for carburetors and whatnot. And then over here, we've got a sandblaster. I got this from my neighbor as well. I actually did some work for him, so he gave it to me. Not sure if I'm gonna keep it yet or not. The only thing I don't like about it is it's low to the ground. You gotta like put it up on a table, so it takes up bench space. And I'm thinking about maybe getting rid of it and getting a taller one that has its own, you know, legs to stand on. Either that, or I'll just make a wooden base for it so it could sit on that. It was never used apparently. It's got a nice little light in there, and all the guns and stuff are in there with the gloves and the extra shields for this top glass here. Right now I got a bunch of scrap insulation in there, but that should come in handy at some point down the road. Here is my air compressor. It is a 60-gallon, 155 PSI max pressure. It's always been a good compressor. It actually broke though in the summertime, and I didn't do a video on it, but I ended up replacing the motor on it. So this is a brand new motor now, twin cylinder. This came out of my shed and I had to throw a different motor on it, and I wired it for 110. This motor would do 110 or 220. So I wired it for 110, and that's how I had it running in my shed. And it's currently still on 110, but I have the original motor for it, which is much beefier, and it's a 220 only motor. So I plan on putting that back on there so that I can have a 220 compressor again, and this thing will have a lot more power, and I plan to plug it into this outlet right here that I've yet to wire in. So that is pretty much what I have in here. Over on this side, you guys might remember this cart from the shed. This is where I did a lot of my fabrication work, because it was pretty much the only bench I could use in the shed. I got a lot of scrap metal and stuff under there. I still have to clean that and organize it, but that I'll probably use for like welding out in the middle of the garage, where I could roll it around and use it for like a little workstation. This shelf here came from the shed as well. I pretty much just cleaned it, reorganized it, put some different stuff on there. And then this desk I bought from my neighbor for 50 bucks, which I thought was a smoking deal, because these old workbenches like this are hard to come by. And I think it came like out of a school district or something. But as you can see, it's got power on it. It's got an outlet here, and it's got an outlet over here. Then it's also got the ability to add a third outlet here on this middle leg, which I'm gonna end up doing. That way I got plenty of power on this desk and plenty of work area too. So I can do all kinds of work. Maybe I'll make this a fabrication table as well. Not quite sure yet, but a lot of this stuff don't take as the final result, because I'm pretty much just kind of throwing stuff around right now and trying to feel things out. You know, when you build a new garage like this, it takes a long time to organize and kind of figure out where you want things. And, you know, it just takes time to get the setup that you want, the setup that you're looking for. You know, it takes a lot of organizing, a lot of moving things around, and eventually you kind of find out where you want to stick things and what fits best where, and that kind of thing. So now we're going to get on to the next stage, which would be what is left to get done here. So let me show you guys around, and I'll show you what I have left to get done. So starting over here, this is kind of like half done, half not. We have the power run to the barn. It comes off from the pole over there at the road, and it comes over to here where it meets with a pole coming up out of the soffit, and it comes down to the meter, which is just on the other side of this wall. And then from the meter, the main power comes out right here and up into my panel box. From here, the power comes back out of the panel box up to the peak, and then it runs from peak to peak to my roof on my house, and that's what's powering my house. So that's really nice. Now I could designate the power from my house to my garage, and all of my power between my house and my garage is all gonna be run off this panel inside here, which is great because the panel in my house is always hard to get to. So I'm glad to have this nice and open where I can get to it, and I could shut the power off to whatever I want when I need to. And then the original panel in the house, we basically just turned that into a sub panel. So in here, you can see I filled it full of breakers. I got a bunch of 20s, a bunch of 15s. Up top here, I've got a couple double 15s and double 20s. And then here, as you can see, I've got a double pole 40 and a double pole 30. This double pole 30 is gonna be for my compressor only, and then the double pole 40 is gonna be for my welder and plasma cutter, which I gotta run some 8-gauge wire for. As far as the air compressor, I've got some 10-gauge for that I'm gonna wire to this and run that all the way down the wall to my air compressor. But as far as what's wired right now, I've got this outlet here wired in, which is a GFI, and I've also got like this little emergency light, which I guess was code to have this in here. So now we have an emergency light. It stays on all the time, which I like because it actually leaves me a little bit of light in here when I have everything shut off when you first come in here. And then from there, I wired in my lights. So I got a 15 amp breaker with 14-gauge wire coming up, and it goes over and it comes down to my first light switch here. These light switches I wired in so that this was a 3-way switch. So I've got a 3-way switch on this side of the outlet, and then on the opposite door over here, I've also got a 3-way switch. So no matter what door I come in, whether it's this door or the other door, I could flip the lights on or off. So if I come in this door and leave the other door, I could always flip my lights on and off. This other switch here on both ends, this is just for the outside lights. These are not on a 3-way switch. I wanted these on a regular single pole so I could independently shut the lights on or off in the front or back, because sometimes I might not be out front where I just want the outside light on in the back. So that's why I did that. So I got all that wired up with 14-gauge on a 15 amp breaker. The 3-way switches here on the right side of each box are gonna be powering all 4 of my main shop lights, these high bay lights. So I've got one on each corner here, and I'm gonna have another one here and another one over here. On this side right now, I just have some temporary lighting hanging up, so that's these bulbs you see. But them will be coming down. Get this side insulated, and I could finally hang those 2 lights and do that video with you on me installing those lights. I also made a separate breaker here for my ceiling. They were on a 20 amp breaker, and I ran 12-gauge all the way up, and it goes above the insulation here. And as you can see, for each garage door opener, I have an outlet. So that's a 20 amp outlet there. And then where this other door opener is gonna go, which is what these 2 pieces of angle iron are for, there's another outlet right there. So them are gonna run both garage door openers, and I made them 20 amp because I plan on buying an extendable extension cord on a reel. So I'm gonna have one there and one here, probably 50-foot reels. And then that way I could run extension cord straight out from the ceiling, out each door, and I'll have power no matter where I'm working in the shop, and it's gonna be really nice. So even if I have to run something that's very demanding, at least I've got 20 amp outlets on a 20 amp breaker up there. So that's why I want to make those 20 amp, and I didn't cheap out and go 15. Aside from that, the only other thing I got wired in right now is this first double box here. So it comes out of here and it goes to a 20 amp breaker. So basically all of these regular 110 outlets going down this wall, they're all gonna be on the same 20 amp breaker. So I'm using these furring strips to get across to go down to each outlet. So I put a furring strip up, that way I've got something safe to tie the wire down to, because you don't wanna have the Romex directly on your insulation. And I didn't feel like using a conduit or anything like that because I feel it's high enough where it's gonna be safe. Now I just gotta come back out of this outlet and over here with another piece of furring strip, and then back down to this outlet here, which is a single box. I haven't got this done yet because I'm still working on insulating this side. You can see I've got a quarter of it done so far. I gotta keep insulating so I can finish these outlets up. Once it comes out of that one, it's gonna come up and over the same way, and it's gonna go to this double box here, and then that's gonna be pretty much the end of the run. Once I get those done, I'm gonna use that double pole 30 amp breaker that I told you guys about. That's gonna be 220. It's gonna be run on 10 gauge. I'm gonna run it from that double pole all the way to this 220 outlet right here. And that's gonna run my compressor only. And then that double pole 40 is gonna be run on 8-gauge wire, and that is gonna run both these 220 outlets, one for my welder and one for my plasma cutter. I wanted them on separate outlets just so I ain't have to switch them back and forth, and if I have them both running at the same time, I ain't gotta worry about it. I also got this shut off for free. So I got it for free, so I figured I'd throw it in here. It's always nice to have a shut off. I'm gonna end up using it for my welding outlets here. So I'm basically gonna have these going into the shutoff first and then to the breaker box. It's not really needed, but it's nice to have. It's got these slow blow fuses in here. And it's just nice to have if you want to cut the power off to your welding outlets and just kind of separate them from everything else, or if you're working on something. So I threw this in here just because it's easy enough to do it now while I'm wiring everything in. And since I got it for free, I said, why not? So that is the wiring on this side. That pretty much sums it all up. And then on the other side here for this wall, all I got left to do is just a single 20 amp breaker, which is gonna run all the 110 volt outlets all the way down this run here. As you can see, I've got a double box here. I've got a double box here as well, but I have a single outlet and I have the switch here. And you may wonder why I have a switch with a light on it. That is gonna go directly to my heater above. So basically, when this light is on, I know my heater's on. And when I shut the switch off, you know, it goes off, so I know when my heater's on or off. That way, before I walk out the door, I can quickly glance over, see if that light's on or not. I can flip the switch and know that my heater is completely off when I walk out the door. So I just thought that was a nice little thing to add. So that's pretty much the wiring in here. That's pretty much all I got left to do is finish up this wall wiring and then run a main lead over here from a 20 amp breaker and run the rest of these outlets. And I'm gonna run these all the same. I'm gonna use that furring strip like I used here to run along with the girt on the other side of the installation and just follow a strip all the way down here and just keep dropping down to each outlet. Because if I didn't do that, the only other real option would be to run the wiring all the way up to the ceiling and then drop it down, you know, like a leg down for every outlet. And you're using, you know, 14 feet or so of wire on every one of these outlets. So it would cost a lot of money to do it that way. And then this way I'm just jumping across the posts, you know what I mean? And it's up high enough where it won't get hit. So that pretty much sums up what work I have left to do. Social media has never been my strong suit. Just kind of keeping people updated on my life is not something I usually do. I just, you know, I'm kind of, I come home, I work, and I go to bed, you know what I mean? I don't really pay much attention to social media, but been trying to keep you guys posted, but I appreciate those who have stuck around all this time and stuck there with me and can't wait for new videos to happen in this garage. So I appreciate you guys. I know this video has been pretty long, so hopefully I was able to inform you on what I've been up to lately and all the work I've been doing. Sorry I didn't record more footage of me working on the inside of here. I know it's just been like, I got to get this stuff done, and you know, holding the camera and dragging the camera around with me sometimes just makes it take longer. So I just kind of forgot about the camera for the longest time, and I just been working away. But now that I'm almost to the end, I plan on getting back into it and doing a lot more videos for you guys so we can get back to our normal stuff. So don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. As always, we'll see you guys in the next one.